Hi guys, so I was watching Cyrus doing some of his wife swap videos and I remembered that years ago I had watched a clip of a Wiccan family on wife swap and I thought to myself, Cyrus does videos reacting to wife swap. I'm a Wiccan, I could do this. Let's have a little bit of a background on Wicca. I do have a video on Wicca versus witchcraft on my channel you can go and watch for a more in-depth explanation. Here's a really basic TLDW of that. Witchcraft in itself is a practice generally seen as a very primitive form of prayer. It's been seen across the world in many different cultures for centuries. Nothing new. A lot of forms of witchcraft observe what is known as the 5 elements: fire, earth, air and water, as well as the 5th element, which is spirit. You might notice that churches have candles in them. That's actually a pagan practice. Candles represent the element of fire. They just kind of nabbed that idea. They also nabbed Christmas, which was a Roman holiday. It was a week-long festival of eating, drinking, doing the dirty and watching people fight to the death. Sounds like a lot more interesting holiday if you ask me. Wicca is a religion that is centered around witchcraft. Witchcraft itself is a practice, Wicca is a religion. Paganism is an umbrella term for many different types of religions under the pagan umbrella, much like Christianity is an umbrella term for many different Christian religions. For example, you have Christianity, but then there are different types such as Catholic and Protestant. Wicca is a fairly new official religion that has very old ideas. Granddaddy Gerald Gardner thought, you know what, there are lots of great pagan ideas. What if I put them together and create a religion? Wicca in itself is a dualistic religion, believing in the god and the goddess and observing their circles of life. For example, the goddess has 3 phases: the maiden, the mother, and the crone, whereas the god has the son, the father, and the grandfather. You could very much compare this to a very simplistic idea of the yin and yang symbolism within China. Very simplistically, just looking at how opposites are everywhere in nature and in life and how they complement each other. Male, female, masculine, feminine, sun, moon, etc, etc. So I think we have a basic idea. It's about equality, essentially, which is interestingly enough going to be a theme for this video. And before we get into the video, in respects of both families, I believe that people have the right to choose the way that they live. Wicca isn't a solid religion with a solid thesis. There are many different types of Wiccan who may do many different things. The only thing that we all have in common is the Wiccan Rede, the short version being, "Bide the Wiccan law ye must, in perfect love, in perfect trust. 8 words of the Wiccan Rede ye shall fulfill, and harm ye none, do what ye will. What ye send forth come back to thee, so ever mind the rule of 3. Follow this in mind and heart, ye merry meet, ye merry part." Yes, I do know that by heart. Both of these families have the absolute right to do what they want in their own personal lives, but I will be commenting on it and adding my own opinion as to what they're doing right and doing wrong.
In Iowa, Allison Askin lives to serve her men.
What in the second wave feminism?
The order of the household goes Kyle. If Kyle's not home, Austin's in charge. If Austin's not home, then Kiefer's in charge. If Kiefer's not, then the dog is. The dog is even ranked before me.
Girl, blink twice if you need help. Look into the camera and blink twice.
Allison's first duty of the day is to get up at 5:30 a.m. to make Kyle's lunch for work.
I have extremely high expectations for Allison. I expect nothing less than perfection from her.
You do it then. You know how you like your sandwiches and you like your bed and you like your clothes. You do it. How old are you, 12? Should you even be married?
You need some money?
Yeah, he makes some money. He decides what we spend it on. If I need to go to the store, then I get money from Kyle.
This family is living in the medieval era. I'm surprised they even have cars. Shouldn't you have, like, horse-drawn carriages?
And son Austin has high expectations of his mom, too.
When you call us, I expect something in front of us.
The dad should be paying the bills and working all day long while the mother is, whatever they do.
I feel so bad for this kid, but I want to smack him. Oh my god. I mean, they're setting up this kid for such a bad life. He's going to go out on dates expecting them to all be sewing at home and sweeping the carpets. Like, Jesus. There's just so much to unpack, and my god, if my child ever spoke to me like that. Oh, I would have considered myself a failure.
I have to clean up dog poop and take out trash. I don't do it though.
Kid, if you were in my family, you would have just bought yourself a one-way ticket to the rice fields. Over you go, bending down all day in the hot sun with few breaks. I wouldn't know because I really didn't want to go to the rice fields, so I never did anything wrong. I guess the threat really works.
Poker night, Kyle has a group of his buddies come over.
I keep getting all the aces.
That is a night for just the guys, so I am inside the house. I prepare snacks for them.
So you're his mother? You're his mother? You're his mother, but he gives you pocket money. It is completely valid for a woman to choose to stay at home and look after the children and do all the chores. It's a completely valid choice to decide to be a housewife. Some women are just more comfortable in that role. However, she literally says that her status is lower than the dogs. She's not even considered human, and she's teaching her sons that this is how women are and how they should view themselves. I would love to see these boys go to school and see how they interact with female teachers, because the mum says that the baby's even higher than her, even though she's the adult, and that's the child. I really wonder how they view women in professional spaces when they go to work in the future. I truly worry about that.
Meet the Thompsons.
We're Wiccan. That means we're witches. These are 3 lizards. What kind of witch doesn't have Eye of Newt?
And the family they're going to swap with. To answer her question, me. I don't have Eye of Newt. I don't see any purpose for Eye of Newt. I mean, do you, boo?
This is my wand. You just wave it and you talk to the fairies.
Really hate the family they chose because believing in fairies isn't something that all witches do. Not all witches believe in fairies, and some people who aren't witches do believe in fairies. They're also pretty extreme examples of witches because I, again, know no witches that actually have wands. Historically, they were believed to be instruments in which you could channel energy through. I guess you could perceive that into being able to talk to fairies. But that's not all witches. Not even all witches have wands. Why?
As goddess, Bella reigns supreme over her home.
This tattoo signifies that I'm a priestess of the goddess. I am the physical incarnation of the goddess because I'm a woman.
Again, that's their belief, and I completely respect that, but a lot of witches or Wiccans or other pagans might find it blasphemous to believe that you are of a godly status. It's generally believed that a god is the parental figure for all humans. So in Wicca, she would be the mother of all humans, or the mother of all witches. They also don't talk about the god in this, it's all about the goddess, and while the goddess has become a prominent figure because in the 1960s Wicca was picked up by a lot of women as a source of empowerment when compared to the Abrahamic religions which had a male-centered god. Wicca was a good alternative to have a female-centric religion, but that's not necessarily an accurate representation of Wicca. It's about masculine and feminine.
Bella's role as a high priestess is a spiritual mother. It's not a democracy. The bottom line is, what the high priestess says goes.
And harm ye none, do what ye will. It's supposed to be about freedom, not a dictatorship. Where are they getting this from? I'm so confused.
The Thompson home is actually their religion's church, where the coven gather to worship the goddess.
Again, because she's sort of conflated herself to be the goddess, or the producers of this show have made it in such a way where it sounds like they're talking about her being the goddess. It sounds like they're there to worship her, which isn't Wicca. The High Priestess has the role of facilitating a lot of meetings and being a person of guidance, generally supposed to be an experienced person to look to for guidance. Not to worship.
The coven are my spiritual children. Then they become our family. They will come over and wash clothes, wash dishes, vacuum.
I'm sorry, but no, I'm just going to say that this is completely wrong no matter your perception of Wicca as a religion. No one has done this. Who does this? No, not a single Wiccan I know. Where? Find me citations, sources, I need them. They aren't your spiritual children. They're your coven mates. That's not how it works. They're not supposed to do housework for you. This is a reason why a lot of people view Wicca as a cult. Because of people like this. This isn't how it works. They're not supposed to come over and vacuum for you. Nowhere in the Wiccan Read does it say this. I mean, again, they're doing this of their own free will, but it seems so exploitative of your coven mates to have them come over and do stuff for you. Who? Where did you get this from? What book? I need to read it.
This is Poppy. I created a house elf to help keep the house straight.
First off, Poppy clearly isn't doing their job. Secondly, no, it's you making your coven mates come over and do the cleaning and vacuuming. But again, based on these shots of your house, they aren't doing a good job. And third, who has a house elf? Who? This ain't Harry Potter woman. For the love of God, I want to know what book they're reading. I want to know what websites they've been looking at. Seriously, what's happening?
And Bella uses her broomstick for magical journeys.
Been to Mercury. Mercury's a very loud place. Sounds like a fax machine. Close your eyes. We're gonna go to New York.
Broomsticks. Historically, broomsticks were used to sweep out bad spirits, and it was later turned into a stereotype that witches would ride on brooms to demonize them. Witches have never used broomsticks for flying. This in itself is a really nice family game that can really help your children with their visualization skills and their imagination, but I think they're implying that they genuinely believe that they're flying on this broomstick. I want to know what they're on, and can I have some?
While the two younger kids go to normal school, the oldest, Luixana, stays at home to learn the ways of the Wicca.
She studies herbology and mythology. The reason that she's homeschooled is because she's a very free spirit, and she needs to be able to make her own decisions.
She's clearly not able to make her own decisions because you say we are Wiccan. You're putting that identity upon her. You're raising her with these ideas, which in itself are fine. A lot of these things are harmless. I do worry a bit about the herbology. If you guys know anything about witch talk, the witch community on TikTok, they've promoted quite a lot of really harmful and dangerous potions and herb mixes. So it really makes me worry that these people are teaching their children these things when we already have something called medicine. You don't need potions anymore, sis.
My work schedule is pretty hectic. I work from noon until midnight or later.
He works all the time. I don't like that.
And he's been working 12-hour days ever since his son Ramsey was born.
My favorite thing in the world is playing video games and eating.
First off, same kid. But secondly, that's really sad. If the mother just decided to put the oldest into mainstream school like the other two, she could get a job and they could even out their work schedules so their kids could see their father more. That's really sad. And I know a lot of families that aren't like this do have to have one parent going off and doing all of the work for multiple reasons. Perhaps one of the parents is disabled and they need to stay at home because they can't work. But this is a situation where it can be helped. She could get a job. That's the end of the introductory segments for both families, and I've come away with the conclusion that they are both toxic. While they're both doing this out of choice, both families are choosing to live this way, it's not good for either of them. In the first family, the woman is lower than the dog in status, and her children are going to grow up with the idea that women should be submissive, and they're going to get a real shock when they go out into the world and find out, oh, actually it's the 21st century and I can't go into the world and treat women like this because in many places in the world it's gender discrimination and therefore a hate crime. And the second family have taken the idea of Wicca and twisted it to serve the mother, exploiting the coven, making the children deprived of their father and overworking him in turn. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think this is just as wacky as I do? There's also the entire rest of the episode, and if you want me to cover that, let me know in the comments below. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.